All right, folks, good evening. MemphisWeather.net meteorologist Eric Procius with you, and a couple of team members here as well as we start our live stream for this evening with storms approaching from the west. It is Saturday night, April 15th, starting this about 8:20 p.m., and with me tonight is Richard Hosney, meteorologist with MWN, and also have Owen Baselman with me tonight as well, intern, and about to wrap up his junior year at Mississippi State. And he's going to be monitoring the social feeds tonight and also chiming in here a little bit. And so we welcome all of those who are joining in. Just checking a couple of things to make sure. I do see some people starting to join, and we'll make sure that we're monitoring the YouTube chat as well tonight. So if you have questions, you can send those through the YouTube chat. You can also send us to social media at MemphisWeather.net on Facebook and on Twitter. And we'll jump right into the scenario that we've got this evening, starting off here with a quick look at the latest Storm Prediction Center outlook, severe weather outlook that came out just before 8 o'clock. And that's what I'm showing on my screen now. And we have a enhanced risk of severe weather that has been pushed a little bit further to the east with this latest update. It does go right up to the river now. So that enhanced risk, level 3 risk, is along and west of the Mississippi River, covering Crittenden County in the MWN metro area, as well as all of northeastern Arkansas and areas east of Little Rock. The slight risk, a level 2 risk, extends through western Tennessee and northwestern Mississippi for the rest of our coverage area, including Tipton, Shelby, Fayette counties, DeSoto, Tate, Marshall, and Tunica counties down in North Mississippi. So those areas under a slight risk of severe weather, and this will last just for the next couple of hours as a line of storms gets ready to start moving through the area. Before we go to radar, I'm going to give you a quick look at what the models are showing us for this line that's moving through, and so we kind of set the stage for what to expect as we go into the next couple of hours. This line is approaching the river pretty quickly, and probably a little bit faster, actually, than this model is projecting. This is the forecast for 9 p.m. from the HRRR model, high-resolution model, just a couple of hours old on the data here. And it has it basically right just west of the river at 9 o'clock. I think the northern end of this, up towards Tipton County, up towards Lauderdale County, is going to be across the river by then. We've got a bow echo up there that's moving across. We'll look at that in a minute. But basically, that line pushes through here. This is 10 o'clock. It does show a general weakening trend in the radar values here, and then the tail end of this line kind of sagging back to the southwest. So areas of West Tennessee are going to see this line move through more quickly than Northwest Mississippi as it pushes across the river. It kind of does pick up on that bowing feature, or just the winds pushing that line out in kind of a bow shape there to the north, but dragging back to the southwest. By 11 o'clock, it looks like the storms are all across the river, Northwest Mississippi. For the rest of us in West Tennessee, that line is well off to the east and weakened, but we'll see that basically just become showers for a couple of hours as we go through the night. That will dissipate, and we're looking for good conditions tomorrow. Besides breezy, we will see partly cloudy conditions and cooler temperatures and lower humidity, but that line will push through here over the next couple of hours. So I'm going to hand this off to Richard, let him give you an overview of what the radar looks like now, where the areas of concern are, our current warnings, and feel free to drop in the chat on YouTube. We'll be watching that for questions. Hopefully we'll be able to get to some of those, and follow us on Facebook and Twitter as well, and you can drop your comments there. We'll be watching for the next couple of hours. Let's go right on through it, Richard.
Thanks, Eric. So we've got the radar up here. We can see a line of thunderstorms moving into the metro. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 8:30 for Crittenden County. That's probably going to be extended here over the next few minutes. Watching the Weather Service chat and keeping an eye on that. The threat for tornadoes with this line is going to be pretty low. The biggest threat with this line is going to be damaging winds. We do have possibility for damaging winds up to 50, 60 miles per hour. We do have reports up in northeastern Arkansas now of trees on cars in Mississippi County, Arkansas, and a few power poles down already. We are watching this line come in and move through the metro, as Eric said, over the next little bit. Here's a look at the map, the along with the radar rather, and you can see that the entire metro is under a severe thunderstorm watch until 2 a.m. and the area is shaded in orange just to our west, just west of the river. We've got Crittenden County under a severe thunderstorm warning until 8:30, so another 5 or 6 minutes on that. And we are going to continue to watch this line move through. Let's see if we can zoom in a little bit, get a little more granular. We'll pull up a radar here. And this line of thunderstorms extends, you can see basically right now from Osceola down through Earl, just past through Wynn. It looks like they had quarter inch hail reported in Wynn, Arkansas. And it is the heaviest part of that is now to their east. Earl probably getting some pretty gusty winds now. It's just moving through Forest City and down to, let's see, Morrow, just east of Wheatley now. And Mariana right now on the leading edge of this line, probably get some gusty winds there. We can start to see this line here is pretty interesting. This is an outflow boundary. So as some of these storms collapse, they'll send out an outflow boundary, and this is actually what we're looking at now is an outflow boundary basically along the river until you get to Marion, and it's just west of Marion and runs down to just east of Forest City. So it's already past portion of I-40. And the thing with that is there's going to be some gusty winds along with that outflow boundary. So that very small line of returns there on the radar signifies that there is a little bit of outflow there. Let me go to to the velocity rather. Let's see what I can find here. So we're showing potential gust to 45 miles an hour looks like with this line of storms, out ahead of these line of storms. And we'll go back to the actual reflectivity where you can see the precipitation. So the heaviest precip right now is just to the north of Forest City, and that's going to move just east of Forest City and move right over I-40 here in the next few minutes. Take a look at the hail product here. So the hail product, not great. Maybe some small hail in there. We're showing potential half to 3/4 inch hail with that. Really not the biggest threat though with any of this. Biggest threat obviously is going to be the gusty winds out ahead of it. And it looks like now we have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for much of the metro. It's going to be including Crittenden, Fayette, Shelby, Tipton until 9:15. Current time is 8:27, so that's it's another 45 minutes. We are going to wait on that to show up here in just a moment. It should populate. But there is now a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Crittenden, Fayette, Shelby, and Tipton County. There it is. So it's going to cover the northern part of Shelby County. You can see this line is pretty well north of the 240 loop. It's going to include Millington, Arlington, as well as all of Tipton County, northern Crittenden County. So we zoom in here just a little bit. And yeah, it's going to cover Arlington and far northwestern Fayette County. So Braden, Galloway, those areas, and much of I-40 where it runs through Fayette County. That's going to include that area. So as we take a look at the actual warning says severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 9:15 for northern Crittenden County, northern Shelby County, northwestern Fayette County. Severe thunderstorms were located along a line extending from Burdett to near Wilson to near Earl, moving east at 55 miles per hour. Hazards include 60 mile per hour wind gust. Impacts can include damage to roof sidings and trees. So if you're in northern Shelby County, as well as Tipton County and northern Crittenden County, be aware that we could see 60 mile per hour gusts with this line as it moves through the area. So if you're in this area, make sure you go indoors. Be aware that there could be flying debris with any of this stuff. If you've got anything outside that needs to be tied down, now's your time to go do it, because there are going to be some pretty gusty winds moving into right now, moving across the river. So these 60 mile per hour wind gusts with this outflow boundary that's just now crossed the river in Tipton County and just just about to well, actually, it has crossed the river in northern Shelby County. So, Munford, Atoka, Brighton, anywhere along Highway 51 corridor, be aware that the outflow boundary is going to come through pretty quick, and could see some 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts with that. And there's my Storm Watch Plus notification that we've got a
Perfect timing.
new severe thunderstorm warning. So we now have another one.
Yeah, and I'd be happy to jump in on that, Richard. So
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, so basically the most of the metro now, the western half of the metro is under warning. Second warning is issued for basically the rest of Shelby County, all of DeSoto County, and the northern part of Tunica County, including Casino Strip. This goes until 9:15 p.m. And it's basically going to be a carbon copy of the warning that covers the northern part of the metro. 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail possible in this storm as that line moves to the east. And I'm going to see, make sure I'm sharing my screen here. I am.
Yes.
Okay. So that indicates hail damage is possible, wind damage to roof siding and trees. Basically, very similar threats as we talked about with the northern warning. So that line is stretching now just right along the river in Tipton County, back through northwestern Crittenden County and into Lee County, but heading towards the southern part of the metro as well. The areas that are going to be affected first, though, in our area is going to be western Tipton County. And as Richard was talking about, pretty strong winds moving into that area. And we can see on the right-hand panel on my screen here, this is the wind velocities showing us where the winds are the strongest, and very strong winds blowing into the backside of this system. We've got winds that are approaching 60 miles an hour up at just a couple thousand feet, about 1,500 feet off the ground. The leading edge of that line, as Richard was talking about, is where the outflow boundary or the gust front is, and that's crossing the river. That will have a wind shift with it, and it will probably have 20 to 30 mile an hour winds. And then as those storms arrive right behind that line, not too long after that first front gets there, those winds will pick up pretty strong out of the west. And so we're looking at the possibility of some of those 60 mile an hour winds transitioning to the ground as those storms push that air downwards, coming in behind that outflow boundary. So again, western Tipton County, and I'm going to also say the northern part of Shelby County, areas Shelby Forest over towards Millington, not imminently, but you will feel this wind shift here in the next probably 15 minutes, and then the stronger winds are going to move in behind that, probably another 10-15 minutes or so behind that. They will start to pick up as the lightning and thunder increases and that rain starts coming down torrentially across that area. And it looks like those strongest winds do extend south through the western part of Crittenden County to west of I-55, kind of approaching the Marion area, also under a severe thunderstorm warning, the rest of Crittenden County. So these strong winds, kind of the nose of those strong winds is over Crittenden County, just aloft, pushing east, and that will move across the northern half of Shelby County. As it looks like this is kind of from a big picture view, we can kind of see this as storm has bowed out and is kind of pushing a little bit faster than the storms down to the south across Tipton and northern Shelby County. So those are the areas where that strongest wind is going to be expected first. Looking farther to the south, we do have very strong echoes down around the Forest City area, moving into eastern Lee County, towards southern Crittenden County. That is probably about 20 minutes or so away from reaching Crittenden County, and right along US 79 that cuts south through that area down towards Horseshoe Lake. That is going to have some very strong winds in it as well. And we are going to want to keep a pretty close eye on, as we go through this, the southern edge of this bow echo as well. Sometimes along that southern edge, you can start to get a little bit of rotation down on the bottom edge of that. And we're starting to see the winds push out down just south of Forest City and towards Haines, moving towards northwest Mississippi. Those winds pushing out ahead of that bow just a little bit. So we're going to keep a pretty close eye on that. But again, just to recap, all of Tipton County, all of Shelby County, all of DeSoto County, all of Crittenden County, northern Tunica County, and far northwestern Fayette County, all under severe thunderstorm warnings, and I believe both of these go until 9:15, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's correct. So the Weather Service now saying that they have 3 severe warnings to account for the line that's coming across the area. Straight line winds are the main threat with any of these storms that move through. So we're going to take a look at how this line is moving in. Let me change it to a wider view. So on the left, you can see the line moving in from eastern Arkansas, and you can see the warnings listed there. And over on the right-hand side, you can see that we're under severe thunderstorm watch in effect until 2 a.m. and severe thunderstorm warning for a good chunk of the Memphis weather area until 9:15. So let me take this off so we can see this a little better. So you can see, as Eric said, all of Tipton County, all of Crittenden County, almost all of Shelby County, all of DeSoto County, northern Tunica County, and far northwestern Tate County. That's going to include the Arcabutla Lake area. So let's go a little tighter so we can see these storms. Excuse me. We can see these storms moving in. Obviously, they are moving in pretty quick. I think the latest warning we had showed these storms moving east, I believe 55. This is saying east at 45 miles per hour. So with the southern edge of the storm that's moving into northern Mississippi, we've got moving east at 45 miles per hour. Expect 60 mile per hour wind gust and quarter-size hail with that. So let's see if we can pull this view up here. So let's go back to our radar. So we can see this outflow boundary starting to move into southwestern Shelby County here in the next 5 or 10 minutes. We'll be moving through downtown probably in the next 5 to 10 minutes, probably 5 minutes, as it moves into downtown Memphis. And it has already made its way through West Memphis. It is basically at the 55-40 split there, just east of West Memphis. So these winds, this outflow boundary could contain wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour. So the Weather Service has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for these areas until 9:15. Current time is 8:37. If you're check the latest from the Weather Service. Don't see anything of importance right there just yet. But these lines of storms have had reports of wind damage in the past.
And let me, you mentioned downtown, so there is a 901 FC game going on right now downtown at AutoZone Park. This wind shift is going to be moving over over downtown in that area pretty quickly. You want to zoom in just a little bit for me there, Richard? I'll let you keep the screen, but let's pull in tight on downtown. Okay. So that wind shift is going to be moving across, and then right behind that, again, probably 10 or 15 minutes behind that is when the rain will start to pick up, and this will move over downtown. So I'm assuming that they are keeping an eye on things down there as well. But you are under severe thunderstorm warning. I do expect that this very strong wind and torrential rain is going to be moving over downtown, probably here in probably in the next 10 to 15 minutes. So be prepared for that if you're down there, and make sure that you're watching us, or if you're watching the Twitter feed, you guys need to be looking for a place in a concourse here pretty quickly if you have that opportunity to do so, and if you're watching. And Owen, I'm going to have you pass on also through Twitter just a statement to those downtown. The storms are about 10 minutes away, and we need to be looking for some shelter downtown.
Is that for Owen or myself?
For Owen, please. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, this line of outflow boundary, gusty winds that is beginning to move into the downtown area. We do have reports on YouTube. Thank you. Definitely blowing hard in West Memphis, but not up to 60 miles per hour. So that's good news there. Let's see. So yeah, if you're in the downtown area, be aware there is some gusty winds coming through. Could be up to 60 miles per hour.
We've got a question about the hail threat as well, and there's There's probably a small hail threat in there, but not. I haven't seen any signatures for large hail. I can actually go ahead and bring that up on my panel here and share that. We'll take a look at the hail product. So right along the river in that line north of West Memphis, not really too much of a hail threat there. If there's anything, it's very small. That's probably just very heavy rain. But there is a little bit better hail signature down closer to I-40, going out towards Forest City and east of Forest City, kind of where those heaviest radar echoes are. Down on the south side of I-40, and that is going to be moving to the east. So again, downtown, can't rule out some small hail possible in this torrential rain that's moving your way. I'm going to let this loop through just a little bit and see if we can get kind of a timing on this. We're doing this live here, so give just a minute. Yeah, that's probably going to be downtown. It's going to be there before 9 o'clock. Between 8:50 and 9 o'clock is my best guess right now. So folks that are out and around down there, I know there's I've heard something, little rumors of a playoff game of some sort down at the FedEx Forum tomorrow. I know there's a lot of people out celebrating tonight and looking forward to that. Need to be looking for shelter here in the very near future. Duck in somewhere that you can get cover. Let this pass through. It's probably going the heaviest rain and the strongest wind will probably pass through in about 15 or 20 minutes, and then you will get some steady rain behind that. But for that period of time, it would be best if you can find some place to duck indoors for a little bit as this moves through.
I'm going to take a look at DeSoto County. We've got a question now about Horn Lake. That's not the right one.
And you've got one about South Haven too, so we'll take both of those.
Okay, cool. So all of DeSoto County is under a severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 9:15. So another 30 minutes for that. There is the potential for 60-mile-per-hour winds and I believe quarter-size hail with that warning. Let me take a look here. 60-mile-per-hour wind gust and quarter-size hail. There is a extremely low threat for tornadoes in South Haven, but those are it's a not zero, but it's pretty low. So here's our official stance on that. If you're on the YouTube, you can see that. You should be able to see that in your comments. Let's see if I can take my radar here. There we go. So this line is moving in into downtown now. We have potential wind gust up to 60 miles per hour now. And Weather Service now saying wind is crossing the river and moving into downtown Memphis. So we've already explained that. So let me take a look over here and see what we have as far as wind gusts, because we do have a few reporting stations just to our west and northwest. Not seeing any reports from where I want to see them from yet, so we'll wait on that. But this line of thunderstorms is going to move up behind this outflow boundary. These gusty winds that are going to move through here. Like Eric said, there is going to be some severe thunderstorms with this, and there could be 60-mile-per-hour wind gust within these storms as well. Let's take a look back at the. Look a little further out. So here's the entire line, basically crossing the river into Tipton County now, and moving through Crittenden County and moving into northern Shelby County. Should be moving into DeSoto and northern Tunica counties here in the next 15 to 20 minutes.
So let's take a quick look in a little bit closer here to Tipton County. I know we've got a lot of areas that are under temporary cover up there from line of storms a week and a half ago. And so I want to take a look at the wind values up there as these start to get closer to areas that might have tarps or just kind of not the best shelter that you would hope for in this type of situation up there, particularly around the Covington area down towards Munford. So this leading edge of the wind shift is now crossing the river, moving into Gilt Edge, and moving towards the Highway 51 corridor. That'll include Covington, Munford, Atoka. That line will be getting there probably in about 15 or 20 minutes. So we'll look at 9 o'clock or a little bit after when that first wind shift gets there. that initial wind shift is probably going to see what appears to be winds of around 20 to 25 miles an hour initially. And then you've got the storms that are right behind that. And fortunately, right now, I'm not seeing a real strong signature for very high winds in that portion of the storm. I am seeing some that might get up to 40 miles an hour or so, and we're looking about 1,500 feet above the ground in those areas. But it does look like 40 to 45 mile an hour winds can be expected across Tipton County as this line moves through. And you are under a severe thunderstorm warning, which means you could get winds up to 60 miles an hour.
Hey,
So
Eric,
beware of that. Yep.
your radar is behind a little bit. You need to go to the latest frame.
Thank you.
Yep.
Oh, yes. Okay, that makes a difference. Good catch. Okay, so let me just accelerate that time frame then that I just spoke to you about. It is basically on your doorstep. So we'll catch up here. That line, that wind shift is almost to Covington now. It's basically along the Highway 51 corridor, moving into Millington. And again, I don't see the wind field really has not changed that much. The hard thing about this, looking through this, is we're actually looking right along the radar beam as we look north into Tipton County. So I don't have a good view of what those winds are doing kind of left to right across the screen, which would be the direction those winds are blowing from, is from the west. But judging by what we see darn farther to the south and blowing towards the radar, there are winds of 40 to 45 miles an hour or higher in that portion of the storm moving into northern Shelby County. I can pretty easily extrapolate that north into Tipton County as well. So those in Tipton County, right along the Highway 51 corridor, you need to make sure that you have some place that you can take some cover and be ready for this to blow through over the next 30, 45 minutes or so. Let's see, we've got a couple of questions here. Can you judge the strength of a storm by how strong the outflow boundary is? To some extent, yes, excuse me. So the outflow boundary really more has could judge the history of the storm. So the stronger the storm is, the stronger the outflow boundary is. Now that outflow boundary can continue to be strong with strong and gusty winds as the storms behind it start to collapse, and so the storms may not be producing quite as much wind, but the outflow may continue to push out ahead of it with pretty strong wind. So yes, kind of you can, but usually you're going to get, the stronger storms are going to produce the stronger outflow boundaries. And so that's what we're looking at is these were strong storms as they moved across Arkansas. They are likely to weaken some as they move into West Tennessee. And we'll hope that continues to be the case as it moves forward.
Do you have a report? It's very windy in Marion. I'm sure that it is. It's probably that gust front that just moved through and some pretty strong storms behind it.
And if you've got reports of how windy it is, we and the Weather Service would love to know about that. We've got these warnings out, and if we're not seeing anything approaching 60 mile an hour winds, then we can pass that on to the Weather Service, and they might adjust their warnings accordingly. But until they hear otherwise, they're basing this on radar data, and it is showing strong winds moving in through northern Crittenden County at this time.
So I'm looking at trying to look up the latest observation for West Memphis. There is some. Let's see. So if we go to,
Looks like it hasn't quite gotten there. They're just showing 10 miles an hour to the south.
So I'm showing 15 gust 32.
Okay, there it is.
At West Memphis.
Yep, and that's a knot, so that's about 36 miles an hour, straight out of the west.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're showing 22 gust 29 miles per hour out of the west with that line that moves through, that has moved through West Memphis. All right.
And that does jive pretty well with the radar data, which is showing, again, it's aloft. It's maybe 1,000 feet up, but it's showing about 40 miles an hour. So not all of that wind will make it down to the ground, and that's kind of what we're seeing there on the west side of West Memphis.
So let's take a wider view and look at what's going on. So we do have this line moving through. It is moving into Tipton County, DeSoto County, Shelby County at the moment, and it will be moving through Tunica and DeSoto County as well as Tate County over the next few several over the next 30 to 45 minutes. There is a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for the areas located in. There we go. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect for those areas in orange or highlighted in yellow on the radar map until 9:15. So another 30, less than 30 minutes. You can see that it covers all of DeSoto County, most of Shelby County, with the exception of far eastern and southeastern Shelby County, all of Tipton County. Let's see if I can get rid of that. All of Tipton County, all of Crittenden County, and northern Tunica County, as well as far northwestern Tate County. Again, those are severe thunderstorm warnings in effect until 9:15. Expect 60-mile-per-hour winds, and quarter-size hail is possible with these storms. Let's have a look here at the metro. So we do have this line again moving into Shelby County now. So if you're in the downtown area, I'll tell you what, let's
toss this over to Owen. Let him
yeah.
zoom in closer there to Shelby County and talk that through.
Yeah, I'll just piggyback off of what you guys have said. The storms are, moving across the river right now, right into downtown. I'm sure you're feeling those gusty winds from the outflow if you're at the FC game downtown right now. Hopefully you're in a safe spot as well, under a covered area. The bathrooms would probably be, the best spot for you to be, just to protect yourself from, any potential flying debris. As you guys have mentioned, these storms could, pack winds up to 60 miles an hour. So you want to make sure you're in a safe spot away from any potential harm in those areas. And along with this, we've been hearing about the frequent lightning and the very heavy rain. So if you're on the roads right now, I'd recommend pull off to the side of the road and keep yourself safe rather than trying to drive through the storms right now.
And I do see word, we just retweeted this, that the 901 FC match is in a weather delay right now, so they have taken the correct actions, asking fans to remain in the covered concourse areas until otherwise directed. So that is good. They've cleared the field there, and it should not take a real long time for this to go through. It might, it's kind of on the orientation of the storms, northeast to southwest and moving to the east. It might take a good 30 or 45 minutes to get the heaviest portion, heaviest rain, and the lightning threat to kind of move by. There is some rain that will continue behind that, though, for a little while, so we'll kind of see how long that's going to last. But for right now, it looks like that threat is going to continue, I would say, through at least 9:30, and probably go a little bit longer than that for the outdoor activities that are taking place downtown.
We do have a wind report from West Memphis Airport. Winds out of the west-northwest, 20 miles per hour, gusting to 39 miles per hour, with heavy rain and thunder reported.
All right, so we were talking about the possibility of 40 to 50 mile an hour winds, and that's just about there, and they're just getting under the core of the storm now. And we are following our own guidance, and we do have Stormwatch Plus working in the background here, which maybe is on too many devices. But that's a good thing for you to be doing as well, is to make sure that you've got a way to get warnings tonight as these storms move through. So the Stormwatch Plus app and Stormwatch SW Plus alerts within that app is one of your good bets. Make sure you've got multiple ways to get warnings as these storms move through tonight. And we're only in mid-April, so we've got another good 6 weeks before we get into summer and get through the severe weather season here. So just be prepared for that. Maybe we should go back out and take kind of a big picture overview again. Make sure I've got the latest radar here. I do. I'm not going to do that again. All right, so it does look like the heaviest part of this line, the heaviest rain, is moving through the metro, the western part of the metro moving east, and that tails back to the southwest towards Forest City and Marianna, and then down into eastern Arkansas. So those in North Mississippi right now are not getting anything from this line, but it is pushing off to the east, and it looks like the up to our north anyway, the storms are starting to weaken a little bit. There's still severe thunderstorm warnings all the way up into southeast Missouri, but the radar presentation itself is showing a little bit of not quite as much organization to that line. The focus seems to be shifting down to the metro area where those strong winds aloft, we were seeing 60 plus miles an hour, 1,000 feet up, are pushing this line and keeping that strong as it moves into the metro. So right now that line extends right along the Highway 51 corridor through Tipton County into Millington. You're getting into the strongest part of that there in Millington now, pushing east into Bartlett and North Memphis, covering up Shelby Forest. And we're also seeing those storms now over the downtown area and moving into southwest Memphis, President's Island area, and then trailing off down towards Horseshoe Lake and Robinsonville, the leading edge of that outflow boundary. So that's where the storms are now. We're getting a lot of lightning, wind gusts up to 40 miles an hour reported, just about 40 miles an hour at West Memphis. That is pushing into the city of Memphis over the next 30 minutes. Pushing off to the east, these storms will get into the East Memphis East Memphis suburbs over the next 20 minutes or so, and also moving into the eastern portions of Tipton County over the next 20 minutes or so. Prepare for very heavy rain. Watch those areas that you would typically find flooding or low-lying ponding in. They will accumulate rain pretty quickly with this system. And, of course, very strong wind gusts as this continues to move off to the east.
I do have a question asking if it's safe to sleep.
If you are concerned about tornadoes, I would say that it is probably fine to go to sleep. This will pass through, though, in the next 30 minutes or so. So I would, if I were you, I would hang with us here for another 30 minutes or so and let it push through, and then go get some good sleep when we've just got the steady rain behind it. It will be good sleeping weather once this pushes through. But I would say hang on just for a short minute.
So let's take a loop here, just animation of how this storm has, line of storms has moved in. You can see, as Eric mentioned, it is moving through Millington at the moment, Highway 51 corridor in northern Shelby County. It is moving through downtown. We do have a report here from Ben saying heavy rain just started downtown. So we do have that. Do have another report. East Memphis, twigs and branches swaying as winds move into East Memphis. Let's take a closer look at that. So, as Eric mentioned, we do have that outflow boundary moving through East Memphis right now. The eastern leg of 240 is where, basically, if you're on the eastern leg of 240, that outflow boundary is moving through. So, that outflow boundary with the gusty winds has moved through most of the 240 loop. It is moving through, let's see, this is going to be, Winchester and 72. No, that is 78. My bad. Let's see. That is a continuation. So that is a continuation of the severe thunderstorm warning for us until 9:15. No change on that. They do have 60 mile per hour winds and 1 inch hail possible with the storm. But back to this, we do have the outflow boundary moving through, has moved through much of DeSoto County. If you're out in the northern portion of DeSoto County, if you're out on Goodman Road getting something to eat in Horn Lake or South Haven, that you're going to walk out to some gusty winds and some thunderstorms behind it, quickly pushing in behind it. But you could see 45, 50 mile per hour wind gusts with this leading edge of storms that are leading outflow boundary that is moving through. It hasn't moved through the northern Tunica County yet, and could get some displacement of light lawn furniture and some trampolines, things like that, as this moves through, and some heavy rain and thunderstorms behind it, along with more gusty winds. Tornado threat, again, is very low with this. We haven't seen any indication that there are any type of tornadic signatures with this. We do have a small hail potential with this, and do have a small hail report out of downtown. So there is small hail in downtown, so just be aware of that. But the biggest threat with all of this is the strong damaging winds, both out ahead of this line of storms and within the storms itself. So again, we do have severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 9:15, so about another 15 minutes for these thunderstorms, and they are going to push through. They are moving east at, I think, 45 miles per hour. So we are.
I'm going to chime in here just for a second.
Yeah.
Oh, it's back on. We just lost power a minute ago. I'm on a UPS, but it won't last very long. So it's back on now. But if I drop out, that's why.
Okay.
I just had the storms just hit me up here in Bartlett with some pretty strong wind gusts. Let's see if I can see what my max was. Yeah, I've got weather station in the backyard, and it measured 32 miles an hour, and it's typically a little bit low. So my guess is we probably just got some 40-mile-an-hour winds here in Bartlett.
Yeah, we have a report that the gust front just hit south of Bartlett, north of Wolf Chase.
Yep.
And garbage cans have gone flying.
That is the garbage can warning that comes out when we get strong winds.
I
We got
just saw
verification.
a report from the airport that they had wind speed of 40 miles per hour, gusted up to 52.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
52 miles per hour.
Yep, I do see that there. The last official observation from Memphis has a 45 knot wind speed. So yes, that's 52 miles an hour.
Yeah, they're reporting squalls as well. So that's with the gust front itself. There are looks like thunderstorms actually now moving over the airport and through most of Shelby County, most of western Shelby County, most of the 240 loop, I was going to say. And that's going to continue to push to the east and southeast at around 45 to 50 miles per hour. Expect 60 mile per hour, up to 60 mile per hour wind gusts, some small hail, and through the next at least 15 minutes, because the Weather Service has issued these severe thunderstorm warnings until 9:15, but those will continue downstream as the system progresses to the east. Still got power there?
Hanging in, yes. I think it's stabilized here a little bit. Yes.
Good to hear.
All right, so we appreciate all of you who are joining and dropping your comments in. Thank you very much for that. That really helps us to know what's going on out there and what you're experiencing, so we can pass that on to others that are saying, well, what's the big deal here tonight? Well, we can tell you directly because your comments are coming in. We appreciate that. And those severe weather reports we're also passing on to the National Weather Service so that they have that information to determine how they're going to handle these storms as they move a little bit farther downstream, and whether to issue warnings or just special weather statements. So for now, warnings continue until 9:15, and we're going to see 40 to 50 mile an hour winds as this system moves through the eastern part of the county. I'm going to turn my velocity back on.
So we just had some reports, some mentions on Twitter. Hail on the windows in Mud Island, flying lawn chair and trampoline alert in Tipton County, Tipton and Brighton, saying the winds are pretty strong there. And power is on and off in Germantown. Hopefully more on than off.
Hopefully more on than off, or that it just flashes and comes back on like mine did. And I have it on good faith from a reliable spotter that the horse-drawn carriage downtown has taken refuge under the interstate. So they're finding any way possible to avoid 40-mile-an-hour winds and torrential rain coming on downtown right now. As mentioned, that 901 FC game is in a delay in the 79th minute. And these storms are going to continue to push now into Germantown, Cordova. The outflow boundary has reached you. Lakeland, right on the leading edge of that outflow boundary as well, basically extends along I-40 and then drops south into the Cordova area down to about the Agri Center, where the Weather Service is at the leading edge of the outflow, and then down pushing into Olive Branch and Nesbitt from there. The storms are going to be right behind that, particularly on the northern parts of this outflow boundary. So Rosemark, Ellendale, down into Cordova and Germantown, these storms are moving into your area. These storms are trailing a little bit farther behind the outflow as you get farther south, down towards southeast Memphis and the airport area into DeSoto County. Actually, that outflow is well through, about halfway through DeSoto County at this point. Storms just now entering the county on the west and northern edges of DeSoto County. So all of those areas behind the outflow boundary will get that strong wind gust from the west, and your lawn furniture, if you didn't heed our advice earlier, may be displaced to your neighbors to the east. And you're going to get that torrential rain, those strong winds for probably a good 30 or 45 minutes or so as this line continues to push through the area. And again, the strongest part of this line, if I zoom all the way out, does actually appear to be right over the metro right now. So for all of you that are wondering why it always goes around us, exhibit 134 for why it does not always necessarily go around us. This one is coming right on through.
So let's take a look a little bit further out so we can see this line moving through. Northern edge of it basically kind of split there at Blytheville, and the stronger portions of this now through Tipton County and northwestern Shelby County, moving into western Shelby County, and starting to hear some thunder here in South Haven. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for most of the area until 9:15, so another 10 minutes on that. Not seeing any additional information from the Weather Service on extending those, but I'm pretty sure that will be extended here in just a little bit. Let's see. We do have a report. They're estimating 30 mile per hour winds with that gust front in Horn Lake. So let's take a look a little closer in. So we can see these storms moving in from eastern Arkansas, moving through Millington, Atoka, the Highway 51 corridor in Tipton County, down through Millington, and through the western portion of Shelby County. Now starting to move into northern DeSoto County, northwestern DeSoto County. Let's take a look at that a little closer. Yeah, so the far northwestern edge of DeSoto County in the Walls area, starting to see some rain there. Some rain thunderstorms right now in South Haven, along Goodman Road, just west of 55. So if you're out and about along Goodman Road getting some food or just out cruising around, there is some thunderstorms moving in to the area, and you've had the outflow boundary already push through there rather. That outflow boundary moving through Nesbitt at the moment and should be moving through Hernando. We do have reports of 30 to 40 mile per hour winds with this outflow boundary. So not the 60 mile per hour winds, thankfully. Haven't seen any reports of anything over that. We do have some reports of lawn furniture or trash cans moved, but those can be moved pretty easily. So this line of storms is going to continue to push to the east and the southeast as this line moves into the metro. You see some heavier cells obviously now moving through the 240 loop. Let's make sure and see if there's any hail with that. It really doesn't look like any hail with that at all. There may be some small hail just east of Bartlett, moving to the Lakeland and Cordova area. Just had a report of marble-size hail in southeast Bartlett. Marbles can be any size, but we're hoping it's small marbles. Eric, looks like you got something pulled up there.
Let's switch over to that. So I've got the MLGW outage map for the area, just to give you an idea of where more of these outages are occurring. It's up to about 12,000 customers out now. And all of these are on the western part of Shelby County where the storms have already come through. And you can kind of use this map to get a gauge of where the highest winds have occurred as well. And most of those are going to be south of Highway 64 in the center of the city down towards the airport area. Quite a good cluster of outages, or a bad cluster, I guess, of outages down there around the airport area into southeast Memphis, and another clustered over here into Winchester Road, Rains Road area in kind of southeast Memphis, near the 385 corridor there off to southeast Memphis. So right now 12,000 customers are out here in the Memphis area. And that pretty well lines up with where these storms have moved through here in Shelby County, as that the storms are just kind of getting out to 385 now. So it looks like the outflow boundary itself might have taken out some of those some of those customers in southeast Memphis, because those storms are just now getting there. But we're seeing the strongest winds aloft are fortunately staying off to the west. I don't see any of those strong winds making it to the surface down near the radar itself. So hopefully what we're looking at here is pretty widespread 40 to 50 mile an hour winds, and not the 60 mile an hour winds that would cause even more damage with trees down and so forth. But certainly with twigs and branches down and the power lines shaking a little bit, that's going to cause some outages across the area. So be on the lookout for that, be prepared for that, and of course, if you are out and about, we know that any power outages that cause traffic lights to be out, that results in a four-way stop at those intersections. So just be on the lookout for that, especially in the pouring rain out there. It's really hard to keep track of where those are around you. And so just, if you do need to get out, it is certainly would be best to wait another 30 minutes or so and kind of let this pass by before you get out, because there's going to be a lot of standing water and a lot of blowing rain at this time. So I see we've got a question about is it done after this line moves through? And the answer to that for the severe weather is yes. This line will push through. We will get rain off and on for probably a couple hours yet this evening, maybe a little thunder. But once this line pushes through, that is the end of the severe weather threat for our area tonight. And so most of the city of Memphis is going to be clear probably by 10 o'clock or so. Those down in northwest Mississippi, I would guess another hour or so beyond that as this line kind of tails back off to the southwest there. So that's going to cause that to be a little bit longer.
So that sound you hear is Stormwatch Plus alerting us that a new severe thunderstorm warning has been issued. That is going to be in place for Crittenden, DeSoto, Marshall, Tate, Tunica, and Fayette County, as well as Shelby and Tipton County until 10 p.m. So we can expect 60 mile per hour wind gust and 3/4 inch hail with these storms. So let's take a look and see where this actually is. If we zoom out just a little bit, yeah, so that's going to affect all of Fayette County, the rest of Shelby County. It's a little tough to see, but this line here is the new warning. That is correct, yeah. So that is going to affect basically central and southern, as well as eastern Shelby County, all of Fayette County, southern Tipton County, all of DeSoto County, northern and northeastern Tate County, northern Marshall County, as well as northern Tunica County. Again, that is a new severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 10 p.m. Current time is 9:12 p.m. So we will continue to watch this, and it's moving. Let's see if I can get a track on this. This is moving to the east, 50 miles per hour. Weather Service saying strong outflow winds will precede this line of thunderstorms. We could see gusts up to 60 miles per hour with either the outflow boundary or the storms themselves.
And I'm seeing a report also from DeWitt Spain Airport up north of downtown. Wind gusts up there to 36 knots, so about 40 miles an hour on the north side. And that's a little bit delayed. That was from top of the hour about 20 minutes ago. So that is what's happening up there on the north side of downtown. Pretty similar to what's going on across the rest of the city. It does look like the back edge of the heaviest rain is starting to move off, crossing the river now. So it is going to be raining for a while, definitely downtown, but it looks like the brunt of this storm is starting to shift to the east of downtown. The areas in northwestern Shelby County, including Shelby Forest, down towards the downtown area, and I'll even say even the Millington area now. These storms are now passing by to your east. Steady rain and some rumbling of thunder is expected for a little while yet, but most of the strongest wind threat is now past you. And we are seeing, as the warning noted here, I'm looking over at the wind velocity signatures from the Doppler radar here, the strong winds that are just behind that outflow boundary those are actually picking up, I believe. That these storms that have kind of got pretty strong over Memphis as they have come through have reinforced that outflow boundary as it pushes off to the east. So we are seeing winds that are over 40 miles an hour just behind that outflow boundary before the storms even get to some of these locations. So that is moving into the Oakland area. It's already across Braden and Galloway, but I'll be moving into Somerville here in the next 10 or 15 minutes. Eads, your winds have shifted, very gusty out there in Eads, and the storms are just now getting to you there. This line has also basically crossed all the way down to the far southeastern tip of Shelby County now. So all of Shelby County is now right behind this outflow, and that is pushing into northwestern Marshall County. Olive Branch, you are now seeing those stronger winds as well. We should be seeing the Olive Branch Airport observation here in a short time, with winds switching off to pretty gusty from the west in a very short time as well. Let's see, do we have any comments on Twitter to bring to light here?
I want to point out one question that was brought up on Facebook about the tornado risk. Right now, we're not too concerned about tornadoes. The largest threat would be the damaging straight line winds associated with, this line of storms pushing through and the outflow boundary. That's where your storms will likely be the strongest. But the tornado risk, although it's not zero, it is not our biggest threat right now. In terms of reports, we're seeing lots of gusty winds. Pea-sized hail was in the Bartlett area, so you can expect that to continue moving through locations, near Bartlett and into Marshall counties, or Fayette County, excuse me, but really all across the line. It's a lot of pea-sized hail in Cordova, hail by the Botanic Gardens, a broken fence, it looks like, so that would be from the straight line winds. And then, of course, heavy rain and lots of lightning is also accompanied with these storms.
Sounds about what we would expect there with this with good solid 40 to 50 mile an hour winds moving through the metro now and pushing off now out through the eastern part of Shelby County and now moving into Fayette County. The Tipton County area, that line has now passed, as the back edge of that line is along Highway 51, shifting to the eastern part of Tipton County. With the latest radar and warnings here, it does look like this warning, the latest severe thunderstorm warning, does not include areas north of Atoka along Highway 51. So Covington, Brighton, Munford. Let's see, make sure on Munford. Yeah, you guys are on the outside of that warning now. It just includes areas from Atoka over to Mason and then down through Shelby County, basically right down Highway 51. The back edge of this warning is along Highway 51 from just north of downtown all the way up into Tipton County. So areas to the east of that continue to be under warning until 10 p.m. With this outflow winds moving into Oakland now, passing through Collierville, strong and gusty winds, 40 to 50 miles an hour with that. And then you will get torrential rain, lightning, maybe some pea-sized hails, as Owen was mentioning, and gusty winds with these storms as they continue to push off to the east. Richard, how about we take a look down into North Mississippi?
Yeah, so let's take a look at that. I'm going to change this. So we do have this line of storms now moving into the northern portion and western portion of DeSoto County. Walls getting some heavy rain right now, as well as the Robinsonville area. So if you're over there in the Casino Strip area, there are some gusty winds, heavy rain, and lightning associated with that. If you're outdoors, the old saying is, when thunder roars, go indoors. So if you're outside, don't be sitting on your porch watching, because there is lightning with these storms, obviously. And it is moving into northern DeSoto County and will continue to push to the east-southeast fairly quickly. There is some gusty winds associated with that. It looks like the line of gusty winds has passed through Hernando right now, heading towards Cockrum and Byhalia. And we do see, again, strong to severe thunderstorms behind this, with the potential for 60-mile-per-hour winds with any of these storms that move through. Some heavy rain, again, moving into the Robinsonville area, as well as western DeSoto County, Walls area getting some heavy rain, some moderate to light rain right now along Goodman Road, and some light to moderate rain in Olive Branch. And that will continue to be pushing to the southeast. Let's put a loop on this. That's a pretty long loop. I think it'll shorten here in just a moment. Yeah. So we can see some of these storms. Yeah. Excuse me. We have some of these storms, the heavier storms right now it looks like the heaviest storms. Sorry, trying to get my words together. The heaviest storms right now are in northern Tunica County, just north of Casino Strip, around the Banks area, and along Highway 61 as you move out of, if you're along the 69 corridor in DeSoto County, those storms are pretty heavy over there that way. Some lightning associated with all of these storms. And again, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 10 p.m. for the area outlined here in yellow. So that's going to be southern Crittenden County, northern Tunica County, central Tate County, all of DeSoto County, northern Marshall County, all of Fayette County, as well as central and eastern Shelby County and far southeastern Tipton County. Again, severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 10 p.m. for those areas.
All right, so that's kind of a good overview of what's going on across North Mississippi right now as these storms start to kind of tail back to the west down into North Mississippi. So they'll take a little bit longer to get through some of those areas down south of Memphis. But meanwhile, north of the state line, we are seeing these storms right across the eastern part of Shelby County now. Most of the 240 loop now is on the backside of these storms. Still some pretty heavy rain falling throughout the city of Memphis, but it does appear that the highest winds and the strongest echoes where we could have some small hail and so forth have moved outside of the 240 loop. And we're seeing those storms also moving into the far eastern part of Tipton County, getting ready to exit Tipton County over the next 15 minutes or so. So areas from Mason to Stanton down along Highway 70, and then down into the Galloway, Braden areas in far northwestern Fayette County, and into Arlington. That's where the strongest storms are right now, where we could see wind gusts that are going as high as 50 miles an hour pretty easily. We've had several people that have commented that this seems to be a particularly windy storm moving through, more so than we sometimes see moving through the area. So this is just about kind of what was expected as this system was coming in today. It started out in Arkansas as individual storms that were producing some very large hail over there and some wind as well. And as they kind of coalesced into one line of storms, wind did become the primary threat. And they're moving into a pretty unstable atmosphere, even though it's after sunset. There was pretty good instability right along the river and even just east of the river, with our temperatures getting into 80 or just above today. During the afternoon, we had a pretty good amount of sunshine. So these storms do have storm fuel to be feeding off of and producing these strong winds. And as long as they stay organized in this fashion, kind of bowed out echo here, as long as they stay organized, they're going to continue to keep that strength as they push off to the east. So I would expect very similar types of things that we've been talking about here for Shelby and Tipton County to be expected in Fayette County as well in the next 30 minutes as these storms start to push across Fayette County. So if you're in Somerville right now, that outflow boundary with the strong winds is probably about 5 minutes to your west. The storms are another 10 or 15 minutes behind that. But you will start to get those gusty winds here momentarily. Moscow down into south central Fayette County, where 57 and 76 come together down there. You are going to get these strong winds here in the next 5 or 10 minutes as well. And again, this is well out ahead of the storms that are trailing behind that. Holly Springs, Byhalia going down 78. You guys are going to see these winds shifting very quickly down there in the next 15 minutes or so as well. So be aware that as these storms move through, they will pick up anything that's lightweight that's outside and toss them off to the east of you. So you've got a few minutes if you want to go batten down anything outside in Fayette County, central Fayette County, down into Marshall County. Now is the time to do it. before these storms reach you. It does look like the latest observation out of Olive Branch now has a wind gust of 50 miles an hour down there in Olive Branch, and the storms are just getting there. So this is behind the outflow boundary, not necessarily coming from the storms themselves.
Hey, Owen, do you have any reports from Twitter? I do see some power outages reported here on YouTube. Eric, if you don't mind
Yes, there
bringing that up.
are. There was power out was reported at Minglewood Hall in Midtown, and just continued reports of strong winds, small hail, even some power flashes um, near Memphis, the Memphis area.
Yeah, and it looks like those outages now, I believe the last time we looked at this a few minutes ago, it was around 13,000. We're at 19,000 now. So these winds are picking up strength as they move off to the east. So heads up to you guys out in Fayette County. This is coming your direction. I think the winds behind this outflow boundary, we've been tracking it here now for about an hour, and I think those winds have picked up behind the boundary itself as it moved across Memphis, kind of picked up some strength, and that is resulting in these widespread power outages across mainly the southern half of Shelby County. We can flip back over to the radar again and see. Been talking about Fayette County here. Let's take another look. Somerville, right on your doorstep. This outflow boundary is just about imminent here as it moves into the area, and then it trails down. It's pretty much crossed through most of DeSoto County now. The storms have moved into Robinsonville, Horseshoe Lake area, Walls, South Haven, over towards Olive Branch. So the storms themselves are now basically in that arc from Collierville down to Casino Strip, just behind the 269 loop there in DeSoto County. But the outflow boundary is now to southern DeSoto County and continues to push south. So that means northern Tate County, Coldwater, Independence, folks down there, Arca Butler, those areas are definitely going to be getting this wind shift here in the next 15 minutes or so, as well as it continues to push off to the east-southeast.
So we do have some reports of power out in Olive Branch as well. Trying to find a map for the Northeastern Mississippi Electric Co-op, but unable to find an outage map for them. But there is reports as this line moves through of power outages. Hopefully those power outages will be brief. I am looking on the radar here, and we do see some reports of small hail, basically from Arlington down to Lakeland, in the 240 loop, as well as just west of the airport, Memphis Airport. Heaviest line of thunderstorms now moving through, moving into Collierville at the moment, and some other heavier rain right now just north and northwest, rather northeast of Robinsonville. And let me take a closer look at that. We do have, so we have some heavy rain moving into western DeSoto County. That is going to be just west or east of 61 along Highway 269, or 69 rather, and also around Highway 304. That is going to be just around the Highway 301 area. Some heavy rain there, along with some gusty winds. And we do see some heavy rain basically all along Goodman Road from Walls almost to Olive Branch. And this entire line, again, is moving to the east. And we'll continue to see heavy rain overspread DeSoto County over the next little bit. We do, again, have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 10 p.m. for all of DeSoto County, northern Tate County, northern Tunica County, northern Marshall County, as well as, you can see it there on the map, central and eastern Shelby County, all of Fayette County, and I'm trying to get this off of there. There it is. Eastern Fayette County, as well as far southern Tipton County. Again, severe thunderstorm warning in effect for those areas until 10 p.m. So another 30 minutes or so on all of that. And Weather Service now confirming the 51 mile per hour gust at Olive Branch Airport.
Yeah, so those winds are not letting up as they continue to push to the east. We're getting more and more verified reports and actual wind speeds that are getting up to 50 miles an hour as this continues to push into DeSoto County. I want to take just a second to talk to those of you on the backside of this line. This line is our severe threat for the evening, so once it pushes past you, the severe weather threat is over. The severe thunderstorm watch does remain in effect, but that as this line pushes off to the east, the National Weather Service will clear those areas that it moves east of. But it does take a little bit of time for that to happen. But for those of you, basically, almost all of Tipton County, except for the far eastern portion around Mason. You guys still have a pretty good thunderstorm overhead, but almost all of Tipton County, you guys are clear of severe weather now for tonight. Shelby County, north of I-40, north of the 240 loop. You all are clear of severe weather for tonight. I'm going to say everything within the 240 loop also clear of severe weather for tonight. You still will have some lightning and some small wind gusts, or could get some decent wind gusts actually, but likely not anything that would cause damage. Your threat for damaging weather has passed there inside the 240 loop. Crittenden County, north of I-40, Crittenden County, north of I-40, you guys are in pretty good shape now for the rest of the evening as well. And I think that everybody else, so Fayette County, southeastern Shelby County, and of course everyone in North Mississippi, we're going to hold off on that all clear for this time until this line of storms pushes through and we get these strong winds out. But for those of you that are behind this, you were looking for a time when you can go and put your head on the pillow and just listen to some thunder rumble a little bit and doze off. It is fine to do that at this point. Thank you for that.
So we're going to take a look at the wider view of things real quick. So you can see this line now pushing through eastern Shelby County, northern DeSoto County. There is a line basically from Marianna down to Monticello, Arkansas, and that is going to stay well to our south. We could see some of the cells that are in Marianna actually make it into Tunica and Tate County, but we don't see any warnings associated with those, and that's a good thing. There are a few cells developing on the backside of this, but those look to be moving north of the area. Again, we do have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect until 2 a.m., so we're going to continue to watch all of this and see how it develops. Hopefully the Weather Service will decide to cancel this a little bit early, but that is not going to be the case. It looks like Weather Service now saying that they are going to update the severe thunderstorm warning that is out until 10 p.m., and they are going to remove Tunica and Crittenden counties from that warning. So we're going to take a look at that real quick. So yeah, so they have now dropped Crittenden County and Tunica County from the warning. We should see that updated momentarily.
Yeah, it looks like just the back edge right into DeSoto County. And it still includes northern Tate County, so Coldwater down to about Senatobia. You guys remain in that warning. And the line is just about pushed out of the far southeastern section of Tipton County as well. So warning remains in effect there. We do still have that watch box that does continue until 2 a.m. for the entire area. We'll hope that, like Richard said, that gets canceled here and for portions of the area in short order. For the time being, though, they're going to leave that out.
They have canceled portions of the watch for Poinsett and Dunklin County, so the Missouri Boot Hill, that area. They've canceled the watch for that, so that is past them. So we're going to transition back over to that. And the watch not displaying on this one because I don't have the right one pulled up. There we go.
There we go. Yeah, it looks like Cross County and let's see what else is up there. Cross County, Craighead County, those are also removed from the warning. Those are ways behind the line, and right now the focus is on the storms that are over the highly populated metro area. So.
And do want to reiterate that the tornado threat with this line is very low. It's not zero, but it's very low. The main threat with this line that's moving through is damaging winds as well as small hail. So we do have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect until 2 a.m., and that will hopefully be trimmed, like I said, before too long.
Let me take just a moment to, I know there's a lot of you that are getting on the backside of this line now and are going to be tuning out. So we appreciate everybody that has joined tonight. Just a reminder that we don't do these all the time. We only do them when there's a fairly decent threat of severe weather, and we are resourced appropriately to be able to bring this to you. So we've done a couple of these in the last month and have gotten good feedback from that. We appreciate all the feedback that we get. Also want to let you know, in case you didn't know, we do have a Patreon page as well. It's kind of our virtual tip jar, which allows you to recognize our efforts. And if you appreciate what we do, then we would appreciate you taking a look at the Patreon page, seeing what's coming up, what's in our future. There are some exciting things coming down the road, and that's made possible by the contributions that you might be able to make back to us, so that we can take all of this and put it back into the efforts that we put out to get you the most reliable information possible. So thank you for that. If you happen to take a look at it, if you're already a contributor, we greatly appreciate that. And all of that does go to the intern fund. No, I'm kidding. It doesn't. Owen, it doesn't go to the intern fund, does it? I don't think it goes to the intern fund, but it does go back into making sure that we are giving you the latest possible information with the best possible tools, and that we can keep everybody up to date, especially from a technology perspective. It's not cheap to run all of this stuff. We're glad to do it, but thank you for recognizing those efforts if you get a moment to do so. So let's go back and see where the storms are of interest right now, and who needs to be watching out for these 50-mile-an-hour winds that are headed to the east. That outflow boundary is almost across Fayette County now. It is really moving quickly off to the east. Somerville certainly is seeing those winds blowing out of the west at a really strong clip right now. On the backside of that, the storms are just now getting into Somerville, but that outflow boundary is over to Whiteville, approaching the eastern border of Fayette County. Moving down into the Grand Junction area, Moscow, Williston, LaGrange, your areas are all seeing these strong westerly winds now as well. It is shifted down farther into Marshall County, from just about down to Holly Springs almost, in fact. Getting pretty close to the Holly Springs area, so almost all of northwestern Marshall County has these strong winds. And then that line has now sunk south of DeSoto County. The outflow now down to Coldwater, and basically laying east-west across Tipton County. It will move much slower to the south down there than it is moving to the east up to the north of you, because most of the push from this line is from these storms pushing. The wind is pushing that line to the east. So down to the south, it's not quite as strong of a push of wind from behind that outflow boundary. I expect it to move much more slowly across Tate County as it approaches Senatobia, and to that same effect, the winds will likely not be as strong down in those areas as well as they are in Fayette County, and probably going into northern Marshall County there, where we can expect and are seeing, in fact, on the radar, a good solid 40 to 50 mile an hour shove of wind off to the east. Could see some isolated 60 mile an hour gusts in there as well, but it's going to be picking up things that are lightweight and moving them to some other location if you don't take care of them. So be aware of that. The storms will be coming in right behind them. They are moving to the east, so we expect northern DeSoto County to continue to get storms here for the next 30 minutes or so. Those will be moving into northern Marshall County, and very slowly sinking to the southeast towards Tate County and the Holly Springs area here, approaching those in about 30 minutes or so.
So we're going to take a wider view and see how this is playing out. It is now moving basically out of much of Shelby County, the strongest part of the cells right now in Collierville and northern and central DeSoto County We do have cells moving into Fayette County now. So Somerville, you're up next. Expect you're under a severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 10 p.m. So another 20 minutes or so on that. And we do have some strong cells moving into the Fayette County, Somerville area, as well as, again, Collierville, northern DeSoto County, and central DeSoto County as well. Some pretty strong storms moving through central DeSoto County now. So let's take a closer look at that. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 10 p.m. for DeSoto County. Expect a 60 mile per hour wind gust and 3/4 inch hail associated with any of this. And we do have some cells now just to the southwest of Nisbet along 269 corridor. Let's see, that's going to be around the Tulane and Fog Road in those areas. Some pretty heavy rain, and that's going to be south of Star Landing and right along the 269, or rather 69 corridor, and Highway 304. So some pretty heavy rain there. Moving, actually, this particular cell is moving to the east-northeast, and it should move into the Nesbit area here in the next little bit. So be aware if you're in the Nesbit area through 55 corridor, just north of 269, be aware that there is some heavy rain and some lightning moving your way. We can see this. So here's Nesbit. Here's the radar there at the way station there on 55. You can see the lander center here. So this is Star Landing. This is Tulane, and then this is Fog Road. So some pretty heavy rain, gusty winds, and we have some lightning associated with this cell moving to the northeast. And we can look over. Let's see, east of Olive Branch, moving into northern northern Marshall County, north of Byhalia, and just east of the county line there, along Goodman Road, and it's going to be some heavy rain, gusty winds, and some lightning associated with those cells, and we are continuing to watch those. This particular cell, this is moving to the east here in western and northwestern Marshall County, as well as northeastern DeSoto County, and this cell moving into the Nesbit area is actually moving to the northeast, so we're going to continue to watch that. Let's see if there's any hail associated with that. I don't see any big hail. We could see up to 1/4 inch hail, maybe 1/2 inch hail with this cell. Take a look at the winds real quick. Not really seeing much in the way of strong winds. We actually see some strong winds at altitude. Let's see, that's about 2,000 feet in Fayette County. We're not really seeing much in the way of any extremely strong winds right now for much of the area. We still have a severe thunderstorm watch until 2 a.m. rather, and this area highlighted in yellow, that is a severe thunderstorm warning until 10 p.m.
And just to comment on the magnitude of the winds with this, seeing the Weather Service indicating that as they see things right now, they don't necessarily expect that the warnings will be extended any further to the east. The storms themselves are starting to, the energy is starting to transfer more to the outflow boundary and less to the storms themselves, which is kind of what we were seeing as these in the model data we were looking at the very beginning of this, whereas they moved farther to the east of the river, they might start to lose a little punch. So most of the wind is associated with the outflow and not necessarily the thunderstorms at this point. So that doesn't mean you won't see strong winds with that outflow, but for right now, they're kind of hinting at the possibility that warnings may not be continued further east from where they are right now. Let's shift over to Owen. Do you have any new reports or anything you want to recap from your side, Owen?
There are no new reports as of now, nothing outside of the usual small hail, gusty winds we've received for most of the night. So, as you just mentioned, the storms are starting to die down and they're losing that punch of the gusty winds and the small hail. But heavy rain will probably turn into the largest, threat at this point, down from Somerville to Collierville and now approaching Hernando area. But locations north of 40, I'd say, and off to the west of 55, north of 40 and west of 55, or we can probably sound the all clear at this point. You will most likely just experience, heavy rain continuing over the next couple hours.
Yeah, I concur with that. And also, and it's maybe a sign of good news here, in the last 10 minutes or so, the number of power outages in the Memphis area has actually decreased a little bit, which means that some of these outages, well, first of all, there haven't been any new widespread outages that have occurred. The strong winds have pretty much shifted southeast of Shelby County, but some of these outages were clearly short-lived as well because some of them are coming back on, and obviously, MLGW is getting to those that they can fix the quickest right after the storm moves through and starting to have a little bit of impact on that too. So outages are down to about 17,000 from the almost 20,000 they were at about 10 minutes ago. So let's dive back in a little bit and see where we're seeing the strongest winds again and what areas are moving out from this threat. I'm going to focus first on Fayette County. First of all, everybody to the west of them, I'm going to say basically all of Shelby County now. Severe weather threat is pretty much over. We'll still get some strong winds possible as these storms start to pull away, but shouldn't be anything that would certainly be any stronger than we've already experienced. But for Fayette County, we are seeing the potential for the highest winds in our area in Fayette County right now. Those winds are again up at a couple thousand feet. They're at around 50 miles an hour. We haven't gotten any severe weather reports from Fayette County. In fact, the latest observation from Somerville was probably 30 minutes ago, right before the outflow boundary got there. So that's not reliable for what they're getting right now. But we're gonna expect that there's probably 30 to 40 mile an hour winds across Fayette County right now, and those will be dwindling off from the west. Western part of Fayette County is not seeing that kind of wind anymore. Could see 30, 40 mile an hour winds also down into northwestern Marshall County. That includes all the way down to Holly Springs now. That outflow boundary has made it down to Holly Springs. So wind is shifting down there as well. Those storms still probably a good 10 miles or so back behind the outflow boundary up there. They're up near Byhalia. That's actually farther than that. That's more like 25 miles or so up to there. So this outflow boundary really outrunning the storms down into North Mississippi. And it's going to be losing strength as it does so because it's moving so far out ahead of the storms that it's no longer getting the push of air from the storms. So it will just basically stall out until the cold front itself moves through. DeSoto County, you continue to be mostly covered up by thunderstorms right now. Far western portions are clearing out just a little bit. Areas and there goes an update on the warning that cleared some additional areas. So the far northern portion of DeSoto County, Olive Branch, you're now behind the warning. South Haven, you are out of the warning. Areas north of Nesbit, Horn Lake, outside of the warning now. So those areas are no longer expected to get any damaging weather of any type, strong winds. That has shifted down to the southeastern portions of DeSoto County. So Hernando, you're still in the warning. Cockrum over to Miller, those areas right along the 269 corridor there across DeSoto County, still within the severe thunderstorm warning. It also does include all of northwestern Marshall County, northwest of Holly Springs. This warning goes until 10 p.m., another 13 minutes for this particular warning. And the warning has also cut off the western sections of Fayette County. So Oakland, Galloway, Braden, all of those areas now are on the backside of the warning. Piperton, Collierville, you guys are outside of the warning now as well. So that continues until 10 o'clock for Somerville, Williston, Moscow, Grand Junction, LaGrange, and then down into Marshall County. Everyone else is pretty much clear of severe weather for tonight.
So we're going to take a look real quick and see a wider view here. We do have that warning continuing for portions of DeSoto County as well as northeastern Tate County, northern Marshall County rather, and central and eastern Fayette County. Again, until 10 p.m., it's currently 9:48, so we will see that continue. We are watching one cell just to the west of the river in near Marvel and Helena, West Helena, that area, south of Mariana. There is a significant weather advisory in effect for that particular cell. We do have, we do have possible winds of 40 miles per hour with this storm, and this is moving to the east at 45 miles per hour. So if you're in the Tunica County area, be looking to your west because there is the potential for some additional thunderstorms, strong thunderstorms, but possibly not severe as it moves over the river in the next 30 minutes or so. Just had a report of a tree falling on a house in South Haven, relayed by the National Weather Service. Looks like some gusty winds have knocked down a tree and it has fallen on a house in South Haven in DeSoto County. So that is unfortunate to hear. Hopefully no one was injured. There's no indication that there was anyone injured, so that is a good thing.
Yeah, and it looks like we got a picture of that came in on our Twitter feed, and all you can see from the picture is a whole lot of branches. So the tree is covering up whatever it was that was underneath it. And yes, fortunate if no one was underneath that for sure. All right. So we're going to continue to stay with you here until this warning expires. We've got another 10 minutes or so on that. So that continues to be the case for all but the far western sections of Fayette County. It includes northwestern Marshall County. It includes southeastern DeSoto County over towards Hernando, and far eastern portions of Tate County east of Coldwater. So that warning remains in effect until 10 p.m. A thunderstorm watch remains in effect as well for the entire metro until 2 a.m. But that will be cleared. Once this line kind of pushes out of the metro, I expect another tier of counties will be removed from the severe thunderstorm watch as that threat has ended for a large section of our coverage area here in the Memphis metro. I'm going to take one more quick look at the outage map here and see that has gone back up just a little bit again, up to almost 21,000 now. So still a few areas that are experiencing some additional power outages. Most of that concentrated right within the city of Memphis and into the south sections of Memphis, as well as the eastern sections of Memphis into the Germantown area. So Cordova down to Germantown, and then southeast Memphis, Hickory Hill, some of those areas down 385, southern part of Germantown, some fair amount of outages down in that section as well. So all a result of these strong winds that have moved through. This is about the highest I've seen as far as number of outages, 21,000 or so. So I think we'll probably find out that there was maybe upwards of 30,000 that lost power at some point. Some of that is just out for a minute or two and then comes back on and never really reflect on the outage map. But we're certainly seeing over 20,000 right here at this point. Just rain falling across the majority of the rest of the Memphis area behind these storms. There is no severe weather threat. The winds have lightened up considerably. In fact, it's just about calm here right now in Bartlett. Just light rain falling. I do still hear the thunder outside, so it just rumbling thunder, but this is not another storm that's approaching or anything like that. It's just kind of just the back edge of these storms and some leftover instability that's in the atmosphere is causing a few lightning strikes up there in the clouds, and therefore we're hearing some of that down here as thunder as well. But the severe weather threat has moved out of Shelby County and Tipton County and Crittenden County. Every place that's behind this warning basically is just about in the clear, with maybe that exception of the southern half of Tunica County. We'll certainly keep an eye on the storm that Richard was talking about down here in Phillips County. and south of Mariana, moving towards Tunica. Again, there is a special weather statement, basically a junior thunderstorm warning for winds up to 40 miles an hour as this continues to move off to the east towards the town of Tunica and southern half of Tunica County. Unless that really gets going, I don't expect that will be upgraded to a warning. Let's take a quick look at the hail. There is a little bit of a hail signature in that storm right around Lexa, far northern Phillips County, moving to the east. That might go into the West Helena area, and would just go into far southern Tunica County if it were to hold together. But that would be outside of into mostly rural and farmland area and parts of the Delta down there in southern Tunica County.
So I'm going to take a wider look at the regional radar. It's mainly centered over North Mississippi, but we can see this line, and you can see the outflow boundary pushing through northern Mississippi, northwestern Mississippi, and those thunderstorms quickly following behind that line of thunderstorms. There is another line of thunderstorms basically west of Tunica and south into eastern Arkansas and down into southeastern Arkansas as well. And those cells are continuing to push to the east, and we'll continue to watch those as they move around, move through the area rather. And we'll take a look at the satellite real quick. This is an indication of how tall, basically the temperature of the satellite, of the clouds rather, shown on the satellite. And some pretty stout thunderstorms across eastern Arkansas. Cloud tops are starting to weaken a little bit across northern and northeastern Arkansas, as well as the Missouri Boot Heel as they move into West Tennessee. But the cells that are in eastern Arkansas do appear to be pretty healthy and continuing to stay intact. So we'll take a look at the area radar now. And you can see that the line of thunderstorms is progressing its way through north central Mississippi, as well as Fayette County, just about out of Fayette County and pushing into Hardeman County. And we do have that line of thunderstorms again to the west of the river along West Helena, basically from Mariana down to Monticello. And we're going to continue to watch those push through. So if we see, we do still have, like Eric mentioned, we do have that severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 10 p.m. So another 5 minutes for this warning here that covers Fayette County as well as northern Marshall County, eastern and southeastern DeSoto County, as well as eastern Tate County. And it's a pretty strong storm right now along Highway 305, 269 area, between Cockrum and Olive Branch. If you're in that area, you're probably going to be experiencing some gusty winds, heavy rain, and lightning with that cell. And this cell is actually moving to the east, so Byhalia, Highway 78 corridor along 269. Those areas will see some strong gusty winds with heavy rain and lightning as this storm moves into the area, into the Byhalia area over the next little bit. See, the heavier rain has now pushed mainly out of Fayette County and is pushing into Hardeman County. And a little bit of moderate to heavy rain now extending from basically southwest Shelby County, just east of the, or rather west of the river and east of West Memphis, up along the 55 towards Terrell, Arkansas. And we're, again, keeping an eye on this cell. It is not severe at the moment. This is west of Tunica, west of the river, over in, and it's east of Mariana. Let's see, this is Phillips County, and it's going to be pushing into the western portion of Tunica County here in the next little bit. We're going to continue to watch this. As we look at the wider view, though, you can see a lot of this area is starting to clear, and just some light rain mainly behind this, and heavier rain, thankfully, now pushing into the eastern portions of our area.
And as we look farther off to the east there, where the outflow is really racing ahead of these storms to the east of the metro, looks like all of the new development now is occurring right along that outflow boundary. A lot of these storms that were pushing through Fayette County are rapidly falling apart as the new storms develop to the east of Fayette County. So Fayette County, you are just about clear of this as well. The thunderstorm warning has about 2 minutes left on it. All indications are that that no further warnings will be issued unless
Yeah.
unless you see something else.
Yeah, it does look like the Weather Service is going to replace that with a special weather statement with gusts of 50 miles per hour. And we had a wind gust of 47 miles per hour in Jackson, Tennessee.
So that is where that outflow boundary has moved to already, pushed all the way over to Jackson up on the north side of it. So as we get ready to close this down for tonight, this severe thunderstorm warning will expire at the top of the hour. Not expecting any additional warnings. We will continue to keep an eye on things for, especially for Tunica and Tate counties and down into Marshall County on social media going forward from here. I do expect that the severe thunderstorm watch eventually will be canceled for the metro as well before the 2 a.m. Original expiry time. It should be canceled before that. As these storms continue to push out of the metro. We thank you again for joining us through this evening. Hope that this has provided some benefit to you to be able to get this information in this manner. We will encourage you to continue to follow us at Memphis Weather 1 on Twitter and on our Facebook page as well. And we are also posting more and more on Instagram. So for those of you youngins out there who are watching us on YouTube, we thank you for doing that. And we hope to be putting more information on your favorite channel over there on Instagram as we move into the future as well. And finally, if you are able to, we certainly appreciate you taking a look at our Patreon page. Patreon is one way that you can help us to continue to do these sorts of things and having the tools necessary to be able to reach you. And so we're appreciative if you would take a look at that. Our virtual tip jar, it's can be very minor. It does not take much when many people come together, and so we appreciate the crowdsourced efforts there. Thank you for that. And with that, I think it is 10 p.m. now. The severe thunderstorm warning has been canceled for Fayette and DeSoto and Tate and Marshall counties. It's been replaced with a special weather statement, which is basically just an advisory that says these areas might get 50-mile-an-hour winds. That does include northeastern Marshall County, including Holly Springs, far eastern Fayette County. Those are the only areas right now that are under any sort of advisory within the Memphis Metro. Continue to follow us on Facebook and Twitter going forward. We thank you for joining. And for Richard and for Owen, this is Eric, and we're signing off for tonight. Thanks a bunch.